Okay, my name's Adam. I'm with Lead Gen 180. Partner, what you just saw was Dio. She's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to just jump in. I'm going to cruise through this because there's like 6 years of experience and education that I'm just going to be doing in 1 hour. So anyway, if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. I'll be in the booth back there. We may have some time at the very end as well to do some Q&A. Okay, so first off, I'm going to be going over Google AdWords, Google Analytics, and Instagram. First off, okay, Google AdWords. We're going to jump right in. Oh my, the screen is cut off. Okay, well, I can just talk it. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to define some terms. And if there's any words that I say that maybe people don't, what you don't know, write it down. You can come back and you can ask me, or you can raise your hand, and I'd be more than happy to answer. Sometimes I miss myself when I'm talking over something like that. So traditional advertising is traditionally magazine, billboard, mailers, and TV. There's also, the next one is ROI, which is return on investment. It's how much you're putting in versus how much you're getting out. The next one is impressions, which Dio talked a little bit about. Impressions are not necessarily, it's the amount of people that see your ad. It's not necessarily the people that interact with your ad, it's the amount of people that see it. So say you have a billboard, the way they're going to be able to go about that, measuring that, is going to be based on impressions, because just a lot of people are seeing it, and not necessarily any interaction, no clicks or anything like that. The next one is conversions, and that's one of the great things about online marketing is you introduce the ability to have conversions. So once you've had an impression, you've had a click, then you have a conversion, which is somebody who has met one of your goals, which I'll go over some possible goals that you may have on your clinic. CPC, cost per click, it's how much you're paying per click when you're putting up an ad. Keyword is, so when somebody's searching something, like clinic in Salt Lake City, a keyword may be clinic, but you can also have a group of words together that can also be a keyword. So the whole phrase clinic in Salt Lake City could be a keyword. Demographic is the type of person that you may be advertising for. So something like sex or age or anything like that. Search term is basically what you're doing when you search for something. So that example of clinic in Salt Lake City would be the search term that you're doing. Okay. So what is Google AdWords? Whoops. That's okay. Let's see. Okay. So Google AdWords. Google AdWords is it's Google's way that you can advertise on their search engine. So so when somebody searches for clinic in Salt Lake City, your clinic will come up on that ad up on the top, and I have an example later on of what it looks like where the ads are placed in Google. Another benefit is you're able to reach people in the precise moment they're searching for what you have to offer. So people are generally further along in the buying process because you're targeting specific keywords of, for example, symptoms of thyroid or something. You get to see exactly what's working, and you get to build on that. And you get to have geographic and demographic targeting, which isn't necessarily something that you can do when you're doing billboard advertising, or even TV at that, but I guess to an extent. But okay, so first off, we have to define what our goals are from Google AdWords. So you can have goals like making a purchase on your website, generating phone calls, getting customers to come into your office, promoting a special, downloading a coupon, branding, downloading a special report, signing up for a newsletter, collecting keyword data. This is more for your own business research and making business decisions. You're also able to test marketing copy, which is what the writing is of the ad, headlines, etc. And you get to also have the opportunity to promote new services and products. Okay, so jumping in to how to make your first campaign. So first off, you have to have a Google account to have have an AdWords campaign. And so once you do that, you go to you just Google AdWords, and you log in with that email address, and you get to this page. This page has create your first campaign, and guess what? You push create your first campaign. That's how you start. Okay, so then what you're going to be getting next is you're going to get this next screen. And this next screen is going to show you a bunch of options of different things that you could potentially do for your search or for your ad. This is just a campaign base. So right here, there's for this example, we're going to use Search Network only, and that's a good place to start. Display Network is Google has a bunch of search partners, and if you've ever been to another website and you maybe see a banner ad or something like that, that's going to be Display Network, but that becomes a little bit more competitive and a little bit harder to get better results. But it can be effective if you're trying to brand. And shopping is the ability to put up a product on Google, so when somebody searches for a product, your product will come up on the top right, and so you can basically create an ad where they can directly buy from the front page of Google. The next one is online videos, which is YouTube advertising, which is really cool, and I think it's sometimes very often underutilized. Okay, so the next option, you want to have all the features. So we selected Search Network, all the features. Okay, and then after that, weird thing, you have to do the campaign name after you do all this, or else it'll reset it. Okay, so next thing, so once you've clicked next, it brings you into similar things what we were doing with Facebook. You're going to have to target where you want this ad to be shown. So what you want to do is you want to get it specific to where your clinic is. So you want to do let me choose, and then I like to do advanced searches and do radius targeting. So once you push advanced, you push radius targeting, and then you type in the zip code or your address for where your clinic is, and then you do based on like how far you think a potential customer may drive, or or maybe areas, and like Facebook, you can do multiple areas as well. Okay, so the next thing is you want to set your bids, and bids is how much you would pay for a keyword. So it's good to do manual bids because it's more in your favor compared to in Google's favor. So when you're doing keyword research, that's where you're going to come up with the figures for potential bids that you want to use. So you always want to a little bit overbid what keyword you're using.
Could you explain what bidding means?
Yeah, sorry. So bidding is how much you would pay for a potential search term or keyword that somebody's typing into Google. So if it's like clinics in Salt Lake City, and the bid would be $2 for a click. Yeah.
Does that mean that you're bidding against somebody else who wants to use the same keyword to put?
Exactly, yeah, based on competition. Yeah, and that's what drives up price, is competition. So more competitive markets have higher bids per keyword.
How do you know somebody else is bidding?
Yeah, so when you're doing keyword research, which I'll get into just a little bit later, then you can bring up, it will show you how much the potential bid will be for each keyword. And there's paid services that make it a bit easier to figure that out. So, okay, so the next one is, when you're starting out, if you want to keep it simple, just do optimize. But my suggestion is to start rotating indefinitely when you start, so that you can, so in case Google misses something and an ad isn't performing, or an ad that Google wouldn't be showing originally may be performing better than Google thought it may, you get to see that. And then once you've done it a little bit, then you should switch it back to optimize for conversions. Okay, so here's an example of what some ads might look like on Google. So you can either have it up on the top, or you can have it up on the right over there. Okay, so here's an example of a paid possible tool. So when you're looking for keywords, you want to look for low competition, so not many other people bidding on this keyword, and you also want high search volume. So the higher the search volume and the lower competition. Okay, so for this example though, I'm going to show the free version just because that's a little bit more accessible. And that's through Google AdWords. They have a keyword planner. So once you hit into tools, down there's keyword planner. Then you do search for a new keyword or ad group ideas. Then it'll bring up this page, and then you type in something like, for example, thyroid or back pain. And then what you can do is you can type in your website, and if you have keywords on your website, it will help come up with new ideas based off of your website. Then you want to select your category of what industry you're in, which is health, of course. And then what you want to do is you want to start targeting what area you're in and start breaking out what the demographic information that you'd be putting in for your campaign. Okay, this next page is with paid services, they often have something called KEI, which automatically rates competition versus search volume. So it gives a score for the keywords. And keywords, there's different types of keywords. There's like keywords being a word, and then there's something called long tail keywords. Long tail keywords are 4 or more words put together, and long tail keywords are good because, so you should use all of them, but long tail keywords are good because they have 70% of search traffic is long tail keywords, so they're specific. So I'm trying to think of an example. So clinic in Salt Lake City, Utah, or something like that would be more of a long, or a specific symptom maybe would be a good long tail keyword. But then there's also top 100 keywords is the top 100, the top 500, top 1,000 is 18%. The chunky middle is 11.5% and 70% on the long tail keywords. Okay, so what you want to do is once you've done research and you've come up with a group of keywords that you want to use, then what you want to do is you want to group those together and you want to create corresponding ads to each one of those ad groups. So in here, you can see the way to add that is once you're on the dashboard, keywords, you do add keywords, and you create, you create ad groups based off of, like if it's symptoms of thyroid compared to maybe treatments of thyroid, might be a different ad that you might want to run. Okay, then once you're getting into keywords, then you can organize, there's different ways to write in the keywords on the ad. So there's things like exact match. So if somebody's searching for lawn service, they would have to type in exactly lawn service in order for you to get your ad shown. There's phrase match, which would be, if you wanted lawn service, it would be best lawn service would be a possible, your ad would come up. Lawn service Austin, your ad would come up. There's something called broad match, which is similar phrases or relevant variations. So if you are searching for solar panels or batteries or solar energy, you might get something similar to solar system or solar. And math tutor, private tutor, math tutorial, you might get math teacher or safe. And then broad match modifier falls somewhere between broad match and phrase match. And so you indicate this by a plus sign. And these words can appear in the order that the search, in an order that the search query string. The terms can appear before or after between your keywords, and misspelled or plural variations of keywords can still trigger. So if you're using broad match or you're using broad match modifier, then you want to have negative keywords, or else, I think it's on the next slide here. So, okay, I'll come right back to that. So how to change the match type. So what you do is you go into keywords, then into your keyword group, and then you select the keywords that you want to change. You can either manually do it by plus signs and quotation marks, or what you can do is you can select a group of them, and then you can go take down the edit, change match types, and then you can change just automatically what type of match it is. Okay, so there's an example of what it might look like. Okay, so here, down below all the keywords, here's the spot for negative keywords. So for example, if you're a golf store and you don't want to sell Nike golf balls, you can add Nike as your negative keyword. So if somebody's searching for that, they won't get Nike golf balls. So, and if you don't do this, it's a very expensive mistake because you're going to be paying for keywords and searches that don't relate anything to what you're doing. So So it's like a good and bad. So it needs to be used correctly. Okay, so now how to add keywords, pretty simple. You just, same place you were, add keywords. Okay. Okay, now how to write ads. So ad consists of the headline, the descriptive text, and the display URL. Okay, so what you want to do is when you're in the dashboard, you want to hit into ads, and then there's a function to push add an ad. And what you want to be doing is doing a text ad, because there's different things you can do, mobile ads and all that kind of stuff. But for this, doing text ad is keeping it very simple. So you want to create a new text ad. Then you want to create the headline, the description, and then what you want to do is the display URL and the destination URL, which is different. And that's going to lead me into the next point is, okay, so for ad copy, okay, so tips for writing ad copy. So what you want to do is you want to know your goals. You want to include your call to action. You want to use your keywords in the ad. You want to ask a question. And these are just things that you can go by. You don't have to follow any of them. But these are guidelines of things that make a successful ad. You want to let them know that you're local. You might want to reference a local holiday or event. Using numbers is effective. You want to speak to your prospect's pain. You want to focus on the benefits, but you don't want to exactly copy your competitor's ad. Even though you can, it's helpful to go and look at your competitor's ads to see what's been working and what hasn't been working. Okay, but back to my last point of the difference between a display URL and a destination URL. So if you take nothing other than the importance of a UTM, and using that when you're going about making connections with new people, and people are linking to your website and all that kind of stuff. So what a UTM is it's the ability to track where all your traffic is coming from to your website. So what it might look like this. So for example, the lead gen 180 and that long query string right there. And in order to do this, you just Google UTM Builder, and it will just show up first result. Also keep in mind they're case sensitive, so I just keep everything lowercase to keep it simple. So this is what the UTM Builder looks like. So what you want to do is you want to create a website URL, and you want to put your URL that you want the traffic to go to. Then what you want to do is campaign source, and so you want to make this as descriptive as possible, because this is a note to yourself about where the traffic's coming from. So campaign source would be something like Google or Facebook. Campaign medium is how it got to you. So if it's a cost per click, so a CPC campaign, or say it's a banner ad, or you can even bring it into like a direct mailing campaign, and you can use something like a URL compressor. So something like Bitly is an example of that, or Google has a URL compressor as well. And so you can make a little short. So instead of this big URL, you can make it short. And so it's something that you can put on a mailer. And in fact, so it's much shorter, so it's much easier to type in and follow. So then you want to have your campaign terms. So any sort of keywords or anything like that you may want to draw attention to yourself after you've written the ad, and you're like 6 months down the road, you're like, so why was this ad performing? Campaign content, something that you had in your ad that you may want to remind yourself. And then the campaign name would be the general campaign name. Say if you're doing like an entire thyroid campaign, it could span between multiple different mediums. So anything from, you could even take it into traditional marketing and do something like the link I was suggesting. And it could be Facebook, Google, and all these things can come together. And the way that you view all this is in analytics, which is I'll be going into next. So all of this being said, this URL that you've just created, you want to take and you want to put in the destination URL, not the display. So let's see. Whoops. Yeah. So it's the destination, and then the display is right above it. So okay. Next thing. So with the Google Ads, you can do things. You can put ad extensions in. And so with these ad extensions, you can do things like, if you wanted to download an app, or you wanted somebody to call, or you wanted to have your location, so it's as simple, just one click. You can do reviews. You can do You can break out pieces of your website, which is a site link. So you can break out like the contact us page and then break it out into here. And so if you're doing a landing page, that's not necessarily the best idea because you won't have any site links. But if you're trying to raise awareness of your website or your location or something like that, that would be a good opportunity to do that. Call out extension is just a call to action, basically just off of this. And you can, for example, like electronics, free shipping, 24-hour customer service, price matching, and that will go over all your ads. Okay, here's more. Customer ratings, previous visits, and social extensions. And yeah, so there's a bunch. Okay, so how to track your conversions. So there's two different ways to do it. You can do it through Google AdWords, and you can do it through Google Analytics. First thing I'm going to show you how to do it through Google AdWords, but your ultimate goal is you want to be able to track it through Google Analytics because it's easier to go backwards and you can put together a lot more data and answer a lot more business questions of what you're trying to do and maybe directions that you might want to go with your clinic of what's working, what's not. Okay, so types of conversions to track. Phone call, a sale purchase on your website, a visit to your store, sign up for a newsletter, download a free report, a quote request, or get a coupon. Okay, so in AdWords, so this is the AdWords method. So you can go in to tools, then you go to conversions, and then it will bring up a form, and you have to name what type of conversion you want, and you want to call it on your website because that's what you're doing. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to fill in all this information, and it's going to ask you things like if you want to assign a value to the conversion, so you can easily assign like dollar amounts to a conversion. But with most of you guys, it's probably not. You probably don't want to assign a value to it. So then next, once you get to the next step, it's going to bring out some code that you're going to want to place in the body of your web page. And if you don't know what that is, so the web page is like quick synopsis of it. Websites are built with a header code, body code, and footer code. And so what you want to do is put this right after it says it opens up the body tag. You're going to want to put the conversion code right on the top right there. And then that's as comparison to Google Analytics where you want to put it in the header tag. Okay. And like I said, I mean, I can help with any of this as well, and you're all welcome to come back and ask any questions if I'm getting too into it. So checking up on your ad. So once you've had your ad, you want to see how it's performing. So what you want to do is you want to go through and you want to go based off of each of these different pieces, and you want to see what's performing, what's your lowest cost per click, what's your highest conversion rate based off of the keywords, and you can start kind of weeding out what keywords you don't want to use anymore. And you can see which ones work better for you and build off that. And you can also do that with your ads, what copy, which is the text of your ad, has been performing and what hasn't. Okay. So here's an example of some numbers, some figures to help you kind of make those decisions. And you can see what the costs are, you can see what the click-through rate is, which is how often somebody clicks through to the next page, how many impressions, which is the overall amount of people that saw it, how many actual clicks there were on the ad to get to your website, and then see here's the cost per click. So this is where you would bid on what the keyword is, and you can change that. If it'll bring up a little notification right next to that number saying that you may not be meeting your minimum bid, and you can change that there. Okay, so split testing, this kind of brings up the concept of when you're testing between different types of ads, you can see what kind of copy's been working, what hasn't been working. Make sure your bid's high enough. Okay, so Google AdWords. Now we're into Google Analytics. Okay, so Google Analytics. Google Analytics, just so you know, before we get into any of this, there can be human error, then there can be the system error. So numbers, you can't absolutely 100% trust numbers, but they're very accurate, that being said. So, so Google Analytics helps you make business decisions. So it can tell you maybe what products are working, what things aren't working, in what directions you should be going with your clinic or something like that. And because you can bring in goals and conversions and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so just to get a overall concept of how Google Analytics works and how it gathers data, I think that will help you understand how to use Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is once you've placed the code in your page, it's up on the header. It grabs the code once your page loads, and then it realizes that you're on that page, the customer's on that page. It's then processed, and the configuration aspect is all the settings that you have in Google Analytics. So like things like you can, when you're setting up Google Analytics, you want to, so every computer has an IP address, or every location has an IP address. And so what you'd want to do is you want to take out that IP address out of your clinic, out of your reports, because obviously those aren't potential customers because they're in your clinic, they're your staff. And so yeah, then it's processed with all these different things, and then you get the reporting portal of it. So then that's when you can start breaking out data, and you can start comparing it to different things, and that's when you can start answering the cool questions of what Google Analytics can do. Okay, so this is like the nitty-gritty of it. I'm just going to skip over that. Okay, so data is collected in 3 different ways. It's either a user, a session, or an interaction. A user is a person, like a visitor. Session is the amount of time they spend there. Interaction is what they do while they're there. Okay, and just kind of like break down what's happening with user sessions and interactions. One user can have multiple sessions with different amounts of time, and they can have multiple interactions per session. And interaction is like somebody clicks something, or I don't know, moves to another page or something. Okay, so you can use a restaurant analogy. I'm just going to skip over that. Okay, so types of interaction, they can also be called hits. So if you see that, that's probably what that means. Okay, so the data is collected from your website. Like I was saying before, here's the analytics code. It's just right in the header. So right as soon as the computer's reading it, it's one of the first things it sees. And so then so it tells Google that it needs to start reporting to Google Analytics before anything happens. Okay, so in order to get that code, you have to go into admin of Google Analytics, and you have to select, they call it account and then property. So they kind of just subcategorize it out with what. So if you have a lot of different websites or something like that, you can start organizing it. But so you go to property, then you go to tracking information, and once you click that, you'll get a page with the code basically, and that code, that's the code that you place into the header. Okay, so now you have the opportunity to start viewing your data. And also another thing is, even if you don't know how to use any of this, I would highly suggest putting Google Analytics on your page as soon as possible, because you can never go back and get data, but you can always be collecting it and then look back and analyze it and see what's been happening on your website. So it's good no matter what you're doing with it, just to make sure the code's on there, so you have something to start tracking with. So you can always go back. Okay, so viewing data, let's see. Okay, so viewing data, what you can do is you can do different things like, maybe I'll go to this page first. So here's like a few different options of different things that you can do on Google Analytics. So you can create dashboards. You can bring all of these things together and you can easily view them. You can have real-time data, so you can have people, you can see how many people are on your site currently and how many people are interacting with your site and doing any sort of things. Then what you can do is you can do audience. And that's where you can start breaking out what your demographic is, who's visiting your website. Also another thing is when you're about to paste the code, there's a little checkbox below it, which I forgot to mention, that enables collecting demographic information. So you want to make sure you check that before you place the code. So you can start collecting demographic information. But yeah, you can go over anything from interests to where they are to what kind of behavior they're doing on the website. what they're viewing it with. Are they viewing it with phones? Are they viewing it with computers? And how are the people flowing through your website? So are there any hookups? So when you're trying to get a conversion, is there anywhere that people are dropping off? So people leave your website. And what you can do is when you look in that, then you can start identifying where people are dropping off from your website and try to fix that so you can keep people on the website to keep them moving through. And you can see where they're coming from, and that's where the UTM data comes in. So on the right, so this is, I just cut it into two different sections. That's one screen, but brought sideways, just because it wouldn't fit. But acquisition, that's where your traffic's coming from. So you can see, you can answer all the questions like how your campaigns are working and everything like that. And another thing I didn't put in the slide here, but goal tracking. Goal tracking is the way that you track conversions on Google Analytics. And that is back on the admin page. And you can go and you can select goals. And once you've selected that, you can select the destination. So when you're trying to track a conversion, you always want to make it so it's when they hit so they fill out the form and then they hit the thank you page. And that thank you page is counted as the conversion. So that's when a successful conversion happens. So what you want to do is you want to have the final destination thank you page as the final destination for the goal. And that's how when you do that, you can start answering the question like where you're if you've done something with billboards and you've done like a compressed link so it's easy to remember, or you've done direct mailers, or you've done Facebook advertising, Google advertising, you can start bringing all that data together, and you can start aggregating that and seeing what's performing and what's not, and what's your cost per conversion, and all that sort of stuff. Okay. Another interesting thing that you can do is you can start. So now that you have all this information in Google Analytics, because you've been collecting all the data and you have all the UTMs going to it, and so you can see where the traffic's coming from, then what you can start doing is you can also start segmenting out data. And segmenting out data is breaking pieces of things like how much paid traffic, that would be like a segment, or how much organic traffic. And so what you can do is you can start creating reports based off of this segmented data. And what you can do is you just basically, up on the top here, it just says all sessions. And that like bar up there, those are the pieces that you can start categorizing out on how to segment out data. Yeah, here I highlighted it here. And here you can see what the sessions are, so how many people are on the site, and you can how long people are on the website, how many people are new versus returning people. Okay, so there's a lot more to that, but I'm just going to kind of if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so the next thing is Instagram. Instagram is, how many people know what Instagram is? Okay, so Instagram is, Facebook bought it out, and it's basically one of the first places that you could share pictures with each other, and yeah, I don't know. Let's see. So it's also interesting because it's only available on your phone, and it's not available on the computer, which kind of brings the power out of it a little bit. So it's and then you can also do similar things like what you do with Twitter, and you can do hashtags with it. And so what you can do is you can say we're at Little America here, like what I was saying. We could do hashtag Little America, and we'd see everything, all the pictures that everybody's taken of Little America. So another interesting thing is, so I have a business that's called Snowy Awesome. It's shave ice and ice cream inside pineapples. And my Instagram account, I have been taking pineapples all over the world. And what my point is with that is it's good to have a theme with your Instagram, and because it helps with getting quality content. So basically, when you're okay. Let's see. Okay, so tips on how to use Instagram. Okay, so you want to keep it classy, and you want to have quality content on there. You don't want to be doing things like putting pictures up with just text in it, and you want to have like a niche, and you want to have a theme, and you want to have it quality, and you want to be able to add value to the people that are your followers. Okay, so I'll go back of how to post a picture. So posting a picture, pretty simple. It's the bottom button right there. You just push click, and then you select what picture you'd like, and then you can do filters. You can do any sort of fun thing you want with it. You can change contrast. You can crop it. Okay, and then on the next page, what you would do is you would then write a description, and you would say, here speaking at Little America, or hashtag Little America, or something like that. Some tips: make sure you respond to followers' comments, comment on other people's posts, like others' photos. When posting, keep it classy, create quality, captivating content, and develop a theme for your Instagram account. And a really, really good example, I know it's not in the industry, but surprisingly Taco Bell is really, really good branding. So if you want some good advice on how to do an Instagram account, look at Taco Bell's. Okay. So tips on how to get more followers. So getting more followers would be you're creating quality, captivating content. Also, another thing is you can find people. So what you want to do is you want to identify the demographic of the person that you're trying to sell to. And once you've identified that, find some people that are in similar businesses that are in that have that same demographic, and go to their Instagram account, and you can click on it, and you can go to their followers. You can click on their followers, and you can start going through their followers, and you can start interacting with their followers. And you can start following them. You can start commenting on their photos. You can start liking their photos. And that's going to be basically like knocking on the door for these people and saying, hey, I'm here, but you're not necessarily sending them an ad. So that's the big benefit of that. So you're not spamming them. You want to create goals. So what's the goal of your Instagram account? Do you want to have more people come to your clinic? Do you want to just develop awareness for your clinic? Also, another thing is an interesting point is it's hard to you can't. One of the great and bad things about Instagram is you can't post your URL for your website on your Instagram account. But what you can do is you can put a link up in your description of what your clinic is on your page that has a link to your website. And again, I would suggest doing a compressed link or a bit.ly link on there so you can tell that they're coming from Instagram. And otherwise, you won't have any idea where they came from. So on your little description, you say, hey, I'm an awesome clinic, all that stuff, and then put the link to your website. Okay, so a great tool is Iconosquare. Iconosquare is basically an inbox for Instagram. So what you can do is when people are commenting on your profile or doing any sort of interactions, or people are tagging you, which is meaning that somebody's taking a picture and putting like your username in there, so it's coming up on your account, and it helps you manage all that, and so you can work with the potential clients that you have. So, okay, so that is a really brief thing on Instagram. Okay, so all this being said, you can do all these things yourself, and that's how you do it. If you ever need any help, we have our booth, which is Lead Gen 180, and we do all these things. We do everything from establishing, so we have a review stand that will help you get reviews in your clinic, and it will help your SEO because it's indexing new pages with your reviews. We'll also establish you on Google, Yelp, white pages, all that kind of thing. We have email follow-up sequences, which I think is gone over a bit with Club Reduce as well. And then we have Grow, which is our online advertising. So that's going over the Facebook and the Google. And we manage that for you. We have Engage, which is social media management. And we also have the website. So we can build a website that's fully scalable. And so it's SEO friendly, everything like that. And it fully integrates with the rest of this. OK, so that's the spill.